Welcome to Steve's Cottage with Steve Horner. Steve Horner, a former radio talk show host, helps spotlight the source of today's social chaos while offering practical solutions to the problems negatively affecting you and your family. And now, here's Steve.
Hello, babies. And no, this ain't Halloween. This is your real life worst nightmare. You ask, who's afraid of the cunts? Well, you should be.
Oh my goodness, there she is again. She shows up at the most unexpected times. Hello everybody, I'm Steve Horner. Welcome to Steve's Cottage. Thanks for stopping by to visit me. And there you saw her. That's Cacklin' Rosie. She's the one who helps me bust these conniving cunt capers. And, you should be aware that those conniving cunt capers come with consequences. And that's the name of my latest book at stevehornerbooks.com. Say, it is so good to have you here with me. And I just want to remind you that if you tuned in and are just doing this on audio by finding me on some other of the dozens and dozens of platforms where I'm available, then go to stevehornerbooks.com, and up on the top menu line, you'll see the word podcast. So just click that, and then down below, it gives you an option of how many shows we've done. I think this is the fifth show. Beneath the listing of all the shows, it has an option of audio video. Just click that, and you'll see some of our crazy antics here face to face. This Cacklin' Rosie, she follows me around time and time again, and I don't know, maybe she's real, maybe she's alter ego or whatever, but she's ugly as sin, as you just can attest. But she's gorgeous compared to some of these conniving cunt capers and their subsequent consequences. And I want to explain something to you real quick before we move on, folks, is that for the last couple of shows, I've been saying, look, everything here is genuine. There's no phoniness here. I'm not lying to you. Well, everybody I've met who says I'm not a liar ultimately turns out to be a liar. I don't know why they say that, and I don't know why I got myself into saying that. But as I was doing some bicycling here the other day, that's my think time, I was I want to come back and explain this to you, that when I say beware of the cunts, and of course that's an acronym, CUNT, can't understand normal thinking. And when I say that the cunts are at the source of all of today's history, all of today's chaos, and have been throughout history, it might sound so outrageous to you that it's like listening to these the fake lies who say birds aren't real, but rather they're digitalized eavesdropping devices. Birds like aviaries that you see flying in the air, they're saying, oh, they're not real. They're eavesdropping on your life. And of course, it's so outrageous that some people do believe it. It's like Hitler said in Mein Kampf. He said, the Jew will tell you lies that are so humongous that people believe it, because they would say, who would tell such a whopper? It has to be true. Now, hold your horses on what I just said, okay? If you haven't read the book, you don't know what I'm talking about. You got to read the history to understand where it came from. Yes, I believe Hitler is a murderer. Yes, I believe Hitler is heinous. Yes, I believe. But I also understand some of the mechanics of what caused the Holocaust, okay? So you have to understand human nature, and you have to read the history, and from all sources, to be able to understand and then put it together with your own intelligence about, what makes sense and what doesn't. And so I want to say that, when the women I believe, throughout history, have caused chaos. Certainly, men have too, but maybe at the will of the women. Many cases, I do believe that. But all you have to do is see how far back it goes. Certainly 3,000 years with the early writing of the Bible, and I talk about that in program number 2. The Bible is full of warnings about women in public policy making. Don't have women in public policy making. Take them on the ski slopes. Put them in the lawyer. Put them in the bar. Put them in the attorney shops. Put them in the doctor rooms. Put them in the school rooms. How good are they doing there? Not good at all. You see, they're playing up to their unions, and it's only there for the money. And so that's what's happening with public education. But I remember years where I was raised with public school teachers that were women, and God bless them, did a heck of a great job. My mother did a heck of a great job. I've dated women that have done a heck of a great job. I'm saying they don't belong in public policy making, because their public policy making always comes down to, oh, that poor thing, she needs favors. See, that's based on sentimentalism. Whereas a man is supposed to, a lot of pussy whipped men out there these days that are going along with that tale of sentimentalism for public, policies. And they don't want to lose their jobs. They're wimps. They're spineless. But normal men, you see, should have a sense of pragmatism, cause and effect. I'm putting oil in that car because otherwise those engine pistons are going to freeze, and then I don't have a vehicle. So and look at if you don't like what I'm telling you, you will suffer the consequences. It's like I was telling you with Robert Tellis the last couple of weeks. He's suffering his consequences and will be for the rest of his life. He should have been afraid of the CUNTS. Remember Tellis? Tellis is the Clark County administrator, was the Clark County administrator, since been kicked out of his job now. And Clark County encompasses Las Vegas. And so he cracked the whip on the women. The women called. Women didn't want to work harder, so they called Pussy Whip Jeff Gurman at the Las Vegas Review Journal, who relentlessly tore into Tellis. Tellis snapped, killed Gurman, and was quickly apprehended.
Yes, sweeties, that's right. Yes, Robert Tellis should have been aware and beware of the CUNTS, you see, because you see what happened is the CUNTS got him. Then they wanted to shield the sources of frustration on Gurman's email from the phonies, and they claimed that this would hamper their civic watchdog function. You see, that's what happened. He was quickly apprehended. The CUNTS got him, and then what they did is that they called Gurman at the RJ and said, "We don't want to put up with this guy." And then Gurman went after him relentlessly. Tellis snapped, and he was quickly apprehended. Then the RJ wanted to shield the sources of information on Gurman's email from being seen by police. These sanctimonious phonies at the RJ, they claim that this would hamper their civic watchdog function. Their civic watchdog function? Oh my, what a laugh that is!
Well, I agree with you. I agree with you, Cackling Rosie. You see, newspaper people have become weasels. That's why their circulation has dropped. People have caught on to them, or else they're too stupid to even care about reading about news. And so what has happened here is that because the RJ did not want to give Gurman's email away for the police, they filed an injunction to keep it private. Well, what were they hiding? They were probably hiding conversation between Gurman and Rita Reed, the one who turned Tellus into Gurman for being a dictator at the administration office. And so then the RJ comes back and says, well, we need to hold back on our sources, you see. Otherwise, that compromises our ability to be, listen, and this sanctimonious claim that they made just makes me really ticked, agitated, upset, because they're such phonies. They claim that they would hamper their civic watchdog function. Well, remember last week I told you about Paul Harrison? You know, he's the guy that I went to after I told the people at the MGM pool party today, you know, in accordance with the new LGBTQ rule that was passed by the Nevada legislature that says you cannot discriminate against these people. You can discriminate against upbeat, straight, white guys, you see, but not LGBTQ. No. So I said, well, that's pretty phony. So I went to one of the pool parties and I said, today I'm Stephanie. You know, today I'm a woman. And I want to get in free. Because what I failed to tell you last week is that the law said all you need to do is express and identify. 2 words, express, well, 3 words. I don't want to be the Joe Biden thing here. Express and identify as a woman. So when I said, today I'm a woman, I'm Stephanie, that's expressing and identifying. So I went to Harrison. He was astonished. Oh my, that's really unfair of MGM to balk and ridicule you like that. Oh boy. And I said, they really tore into me too, Paul. They called me names and they insulted me. They even threatened me. Oh boy. And he wrote that story up, you see. But then good old pussy whip Paul Harrison, he was tackled by the CUNTS at the RJ, who said, Steve Horner, well, he's a phony. He calls us all the time. He's angry at our news. He's angry at our reporting. Paul Harrison wrote in a big rebuttal, he said, folks, I was wrong about Steve Horner. He's a madman. He hates women. Steve Horner hates women. Well, is that what you call about being a civic watchdog? I point out the ridiculousness of a law that compromises the morality of the United States and try to make shambles of it by showing its hypocrisy. Paul Harrison, the pussy whip, stands up for the cunts who don't have the sense of pragmatism and just want to shake me down by saying they don't like my scrutiny. And Paul Harrison stands with them and calls me a woman hater. Just because I followed the letter of the law and I wanted to show what a ridiculous law it was. So I sued Hakkasan. Hakkasan is the internationally known multi-billion-dollar entertainment organization. You see? So I sued them, and but before I get there, I just want to go back here a little bit on my notes here, because I was getting pretty ticked off about the hypocrisy of people like Harrison and the Review Journal. You see, the cunts reacted that way because of my heartfelt scrutiny to their articles. And then you have cunts like Rebecca Aguilar. She's the president of the Society of Professional Journalists. And she proclaims that newspaper writers have a right and obligation to promote free speech. But see, I guess that doesn't work for both ways. When I expounded to them and when I expressed my feelings about their ridiculous and hypocritical articles that might pull down teachers, might pull down corrections, might pull down parenting, might pull down schools, might pull down, make false claims on Trump, false claims on crime. I hit them up with it. But they don't like that. So it doesn't work both ways. Here I wanted to point out the hypocrisy of the rule. Okay? They want to suck up to the queer people, and all I'm saying, okay, I can express and identify as a woman. So they called the chief cunt down in Las Vegas, Margaret McClutchy, who works for the RJ. She's an independent lawyer. She used to be president of the ACLU, the phoniest group of cunts in the world right now. They started out 150 years ago as being a pretty good organization, but they are totally, absolutely biased, prejudiced, cunt-oriented, mean-spirited, hateful of men, and ultra-liberal. So, when I threatened to sue Harrison, fine. I was quickly threatened by the by the RJ. So I sued Hakkasan, that huge international party organization worth billions, because they run the pool at the MGM Grand. The suit, simple discrimination. I expressed and identified as a woman. So Hakkasan's lawyer, a Jew named Elena Yuka. Once again, I point out the fact that yes, she is a Jew. Now here's why I'm doing that purposely today. Because I'm not racist, misogynistic, or whatever. But when you see a black person on the stage or being introduced to one at a party, or a LGBTQ member, what you're going to hear in the first at least the 2 minutes of conversation, and if it's a comedy sketch, you're going to hear it in the first 30 seconds. Yeah, so I'm a Jew, and I was walking down the street. And so then, as the nigger, I was walking down the street. See, right away. They're pointing it out to you because that's going to be funny. But I'm pointing it out to you because that's what she is. That's who she is. And that comes with a background. That comes with experience. Being a person of particular heritage, color, age, size, gender, you see. And she is now serving on the U.S. District Court for the District of Nevada. Guess what side of the gender and race issues she'll be fighting for? Well, so she riddled me with all sorts of trite questions during a deposition, and they were totally irrelevant. Like, now, Mr. Horner, do you shave your legs? No. Do you shave your underarms? No. Do you, when you use the bathroom, do you go to the women's? No. I said, Elena, I'm about fed up with this. You're going to have to call the judge. Well, I'm going to. I said, now settle down. I didn't want to go through that. And I kind of chickened out, and I should have. But you see, I'm not a lawyer, and so I don't know all the rules, regulations, and everything. But she really did not have a right to ask me these questions because they were irrelevant. However, as I found out when I'm in the hearing with this sappy attorney who was ordered by the judge, by the court to be the judge in this arbitration hearing, you see, and I had what was I going to sue him for? $50,000. That was the limit. That's what I was going to be able to hit him on, you see. And, Hakkasan, as it was, I lost and was ordered to pay. So I paid him $3,000 cash, and so I'm all squared with him. So I'm an honest guy, but I expect honesty in return. Well, so anyhow, when we were in the hearing, Elena, was asking me all these questions again. Oh, I want to back up a second. I'm reading this Ted Cruz book. It's from a few years ago. It's self-authored. It's called A Time for Truth. And I like Ted. I think he's a paper pusher. I think he's a court clerk. I think he's an attorney, and he's nothing like the desk banging Donald Trump. And but he's typical swamp material, but a pretty good guy. He says that his parents fought for Fidel Castro in Cuba, but they're not communists. They're not communists. They fought for Fidel, but they're not communists. That tells me he doesn't know what a communist is. So anyhow, he was standing up for his parents. Ted writes, normal Americans don't speak of people as, these are my black friends, or these are my Hispanic friends, or these are my gay friends. They just simply say, people just define a friend as a friend. And for the most part, I agree with that. But Jews and queers and a lot of black people will quickly identify who they are, how they present themselves to you as being different within the first couple of minutes and on stage during a comedy skit, the first 30 seconds. I don't think I've ever introduced myself to anybody and saying, hello, ladies and gentlemen, I'm the white, balding, older guy who's Catholic, raised Catholic, and I don't think I've ever done that and then made a joke about it. I just think that, people should simply define people as people and friends as friends, and there's that comedian as the comedian. Well, so anyhow, we had this sappy attorney playing judge. He listened into these crazy, arbitrary, irrelevant questions. Did you ever shave your legs, Mr. Horner? That type of thing. In hindsight, it's like losing a horse race. I wish I said, well, the reason I don't is because I'm a dyke. I'm actually a dyke, you see. And so after you lose the horse race, you have all sorts of thoughts of would've, could've, should've. And, as I fight these fights, I just understand that, the horse lost, and I just have to do better next time. And if I can understand how I lost, but in this case, it was just cheating. It was arbitrary, because the judge says so. In spite of the evidence, the faux judge just said, "Mr. Horner, I just don't believe you." And I said, "Judge, that's like me being, sequestered or being assessed for jury duty. And when asked by the defense or the prosecutor or the judge how certain questions of whether I'd be qualified or not qualified, I would just say, Your Honor, look at her. Look at the defendant. I mean, can't you just tell she's guilty just by looking at her? I can. That's what he did to me. He said, I just don't believe you. And end of case. So that's why I wrapped up last week by saying, what if Ellen DeGenerate was there, or what if one of these LGBTQ groups were there? You see, I tried to bring them into the situation, but I'd have to subpoena them because none of them would volunteer. Well, so that's the way that goes. You learn to you learn to do the best you can with the best horse you have. Hope that the weather's good, the track is dry, people aren't going to cheat on you, and you get a good break out of the chute, and your jockey doesn't fall off. And if all of that happens and you still lose, well, you just suck it up and chalk it up for experience. And I do believe that it does make you stronger. It makes you more knowledgeable and happier with life. Next week, we're going to get off of this Who's Afraid of the Cunts type of thing, and we're going to change titles, and it's going to be called Cunt Chronicles. You're going to hear a little bit about my real-life dealings with, as I classify as the cunts, and I want to invite you to write into it. Steve at stevehornerbooks.com. Let me hear your good, bad, and your ugly. That's Steve at stevehornerbooks.com. And stevehornerbooks.com is where you can tune in and listen and watch this show, and also buy one of my books and get a real inside look at some of these issues I'm talking about and judge for yourself if they are consequences in your life. Well, thanks for joining me today at Steve's Cottage, and be sure to buy one of my self-authored books at stevehornerbooks.com and get to know a little more detail about some of these hot social issues and how you can better understand them and protect yourself from the cunts. So until next time, stay on that rugged, less traveled path of life. It's more fun, provides better scenery, and offers much richer rewards. This is Steve Horner from Steve's Cottage. Until next time, take real good care of yourself.
Thanks for joining us. Visit Steve's Cottage again with Steve Horner.